Peter said to him, "Though I should die with you, yet will I not deny you." Mark, but he spoke the more vehemently, "If I should die with you, I will not deny you in any wise." I like that he spoke the more vehemently, but Peter spoke. Okay, I'm going to have "but" from the beginning because now he's still contradicting Jesus. Now Peter is only mentioned in Matthew. Said to him or spoke the more vehemently. I think I can have "to him," but I'm going to have "spoke the more vehemently" from Mark. Though I should die with you. Mark, if I should die with you. I used "though" earlier. Maybe I should go with Mark. If I should die with you. Yeah, I'm going to go with Mark. If, because I already used "though." Keep it from being repetitive. If I should die with you. Both. Matthew says, "Yet will I not deny you." Mark is, "I will not deny you in any wise." Matthew has "yet" at the beginning, Mark has "in any wise" at the end. I think I'm going to go with "in any wise" because, again, "yet" I used earlier. So I'm going to keep it different. "I will not deny you" is both. And then just Mark, "in any wise." Mark adds, "Likewise also said they all." Matthew, "Likewise also said all the disciples." So likewise also said is both. All is both. I think it's better to explain who they are than just saying "they." But I have "his disciples" immediately after, in the very beginning of the next sentence. I don't like how close those words are. It becomes distracting. So I am going to exchange "the disciples" with "they all." And I'll have "disciples" here be from Matthew as well. Now, moving on to them arriving at the garden. Then Jesus, from Matthew 26:36. But I might as well add the word "comes from" in between those two words because that's also there. Then comes Jesus with them to a place called Gethsemane. Mark, and they came to a place which was named Gethsemane. I think I'm going to have "and they came" instead of "then comes." It just sounds better to me. Well, actually, I should take a look at Luke first. And when he was at the place. Okay, so maybe that comes later. And they came to a place. Then came Jesus with them. Okay, so I need to get rid of "they." Have Jesus named first. Then Jesus came. Matthew, with them, as opposed to "they." So Matthew with them. Oh no, I have went forth. I need went forth first. Okay, I don't need with them because with his disciples is already there. So this with will be purple. This is what happens when I don't read all of them and I just go forward with what I think is best. So he went forth. I can have then Jesus went forth and came with his disciples. Luke, and when he was at the place. I don't know what to do with that. With his disciples over the brook Cedron. Then Jesus went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, and they came, Okay, now I can have the they, because there's no space. And they came. Where there was a garden. Matthew, to a place called Gethsemane. But we know it's a garden. Maybe I could say to a garden called Gethsemane. To a place which was named Gethsemane. Called or named? What does Luke say? When he was at the place, that's right. Okay, well, the place is the least descriptive, so I'm just going to ignore that and go with Matthew, Mark, and John. So I'm just going to use the two from Matthew and Mark, and not a place. A garden. So two, Matthew and Mark. Matthew, Mark, and John, darker gray. And just John, garden. Matthew, called Gethsemane. Mark, which was named Gethsemane. I think I'm going to go with Mark, which was and also named instead of called. Which was named. Gethsemane is Matthew and Mark. I'm rethinking my choice between named and called. The reason is because there was a time earlier where they entered into the mount and it was explained that it was called the Mount of Olives. So I want to keep that same style and just say it was called Gethsemane, not named Gethsemane. Matthew, and says to the disciples. Mark, and he says to his disciples. Luke, he said to them. John, into the which he entered. Huh. They came to a garden which was called Gethsemane. That seems good enough. They came to the garden. That's pretty clear they entered into it already. If they're there in the garden or at the garden, you'd think that they're in it. Into which? Oh, okay. I'm just going to add into here to two. They didn't just come to, they came into. So the in part is only John. The two is now all three. So they came into a garden or they entered into a garden. I think we're going to have entered instead of came. I think that's a better word. And instead of and his disciples, it's just they. Or I could get rid of they and have and he entered into a garden which was named Gethsemane. And his disciples. Or I could have and he and his disciples. But his disciples already explained. His disciples are there with him, so I think they is actually better. Yeah, they're all there. And Jesus went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, and they entered into a garden which was named Gethsemane. Yeah. Disciples are repeated here in John. He went forth with his disciples to the garden into which he entered and his disciples, but I don't think that's necessary. It does it again in verse 2. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus often resorted there with his disciples. Okay. Matthew does have disciples once, and says to the disciples, sit here. Mark came to the place, and he says to his disciples one time. Luke, when he was at the place, he said to them, none. Okay, so I'm just going to even out none, 1, and 3 by just having 1.